The alien fleet hung above Earth's atmosphere like a judgment. 30 warships, each the size of a city, demanding humanity's surrender. They had come expecting negotiation, a council of frail diplomats, a planet desperate to please. Instead, radar screens lit up across the world as hangar doors opened and pilots climbed into their jets. Silent, steady, unflinching. When the alien envoy broadcast their greeting of peace and dominion, Earth's only reply came on a different frequency. Afterburners igniting at dawn, twin contrails cutting across the sky like silver blades. The galaxy was about to learn what humanity truly sent to speak for them. Not words, but F-22s. The alien armada arrived without warning, 30 colossal warships blotting out the stars above Earth. Cities paused mid-motion. Satellites went blind. Every government hotline burned red as humanity's first contact unfolded not in peace, but in silence. Their message came hours later, a projection of a tall, silver-skinned emissary speaking from orbit. His voice carried a calm arrogance, every syllable soaked in superiority. "We come on behalf of the galactic conquered," he said. "Submit your leaders. Your world will be integrated peacefully, if you comply." In Washington, London, Moscow, faces paled. The world had expected this day to come with handshakes and flags. Instead, it came with a demand. On a runway in Nevada, Colonel Avery Hawk Turner stood beside the stealth gray frame of his F-22 Raptor. No speech, no negotiation. Just a quiet glance to the horizon where alien shadows drifted across the dawn. "Diplomats, huh?" he muttered, tightening his gloves. "Guess we're speaking a different language." Engines roared to life, one, then a dozen more, rattling the desert floor as the first wave of Raptors taxied into position. Up above, the alien fleet waited for words. Down below, humanity's answer screamed into the sky at Mach 2. Across the globe, the world stood still beneath alien shadows. News anchors trembled through breaking updates. Satellite feeds flickered with grainy silhouettes of enormous craft. And in every capital, one question echoed like thunder. What does humanity say back? But the truth was simpler. There wasn't time for talk. At Nellis Air Force Base, a command center glowed with screens, each one tracking the silent intruders above. Generals spoke in clipped tones. Analysts whispered about energy signatures that bent the laws of physics, and every technician felt the weight of being watched by something far greater than human. Colonel Avery Hawk Turner stepped through the command room doors, his flight suit half-zipped, helmet tucked under his arm. At 42, he carried the steady calm of a man who had seen too many wars and buried too many friends. His eyes were sharp gray-blue like a storm about to break. "Status?" he asked. "Still holding position, sir," said Lieutenant Vasquez, a young systems officer with dark rings under her eyes. "No communication since the last broadcast. They're just hovering." "Yeah," Hawk murmured. "Predators watch before they strike." Across the base, mechanics moved like ghosts around the F-22 Raptors lined in the hangar. Their matte bodies shimmered beneath the fluorescent lights, each one a relic of a human era that had believed wars would be fought with diplomacy, not dogfights, and yet, when the world needed an answer, these machines of steel and stealth were the only voice ready to speak. At the Pentagon, President Keller stood in the Situation Room, surrounded by advisors, generals, and diplomats from every major power. The room smelled of coffee, fear, and tension. "Do we respond?" asked Secretary Lang. "They came under the flag of peace. We can't just launch jets at them." General Anders slammed his fist on the table. "With respect, sir, they've positioned warships over major population centers. That's not peace, it's occupation. We need deterrence, not diplomacy." The president turned toward the massive wall screen showing the alien fleet in low orbit. Each ship was shaped like a crescent, covered in pulsing violet lights. No visible weapons, but their presence was a weapon. "Fine," Keller said quietly. "No aggression, but no submission either." He nodded to the Air Force Chief of Staff. "Scramble our best. Defensive formation only. Let them know Earth isn't bowing." Back in Nevada, the sirens wailed. Pilots sprinted to their planes, and the hum of humanity's finest technology built into a rising scream. Hawk climbed into his cockpit, the canopy lowering with a hiss. The HUD flickered to life, targeting reticles, radar sweeps, atmospheric data. But through it all, he could still see the sky turning faintly violet where the alien ships lingered. "Command," Hawk said, voice steady over comms. "This is Raptor lead. If they wanted diplomats, they should have sent an invitation." He pushed the throttle forward. The engines howled and the earth trembled beneath him. The first strike didn't look like a strike at all. At 0900 hours UTC, the alien fleet shifted formation. 30 ships became 29. One broke orbit, descending toward the Pacific like a falling moon. The air burned as it entered the atmosphere, wrapped in violet plasma. Civilian feeds went dark across Hawaii, Japan, and half the western seaboard. In the command center, every alarm screamed at once. "Object descending at hypersonic speed," Lieutenant Vasquez shouted. "Trajectory, wahoo." "Is it a weapon?" General Anders barked. "No, sir, it's stopping." Hawk's comm crackled in his ear as he banked hard over the Nevada desert. "Raptor Squadron, new orders. Redirect to Pacific coordinates." "Full burn," he didn't hesitate. "Copy that." Angels en route. 12 F-22s tore through the sky, each one leaving a sharp silver streak across the stratosphere. Their mission had been defensive, but everyone knew what that meant. They were humanity's first and last line of defiance. As they neared the Pacific, clouds parted to reveal something massive, an alien cruiser the size of Manhattan hovering just above the water. The sea boiled beneath it, waves flattening under a pressure field humans didn't understand. "Jesus Christ," one pilot whispered. "It's bigger than a city." "Focus, Viper 2, Hawk said. "We're not sightseeing." They formed up, sleek predators against a cosmic behemoth. The alien ship's surface shifted like liquid metal, hundreds of faint lights scanning the sky. Then a pulse, soft, almost beautiful, rolled through the air. Every jet system flickered, HUDs glitching, comms hissing with static. EMP signature, massive. Vasquez's voice broke through from command. "They're trying to disable your systems." "Try harder," Hawk growled. Manual control engaged. The F-22s dove. From the alien ship, spheres of violet light launched into the air, hundreds of them, drifting upward like slow fireflies. Then in an instant they accelerated, streaking toward the Raptors with impossible speed. Evasive. Evasive! The sky exploded into chaos. Human jets twisted, flared, dove through the cloud bank. One sphere passed so close to Hawk's canopy he could feel the static in his bones. "Viper 4 is hit. She's ejecting. I've got eyes on her chute," another shouted. Wait, oh God, the sphere's turning." Hawk banked sharply, targeting reticle locking onto the glowing orb. He didn't understand what it was, but he understood velocity, angles, and war. He fired. The missile screamed upward, cutting a white path through the haze before detonating in a blinding flash. The alien sphere shattered into fragments of violet flame. "Confirmed kill," Viper 7 yelled. "Whatever that was, it bleeds." The comms erupted in cheers, brief and fierce. Humanity had just drawn first blood. The alien cruiser responded immediately. Massive panels unfolded from its hull, revealing what looked like a vast cannon of light forming between them. The ocean below churned violently as the weapon charged. "Command, they're powering up something big," Hawk reported. General Anders's voice came through, grim. "Do what you have to, son. Copy that." He rolled his jet upside down, locked onto the cruiser's exposed core, and whispered to himself, "Let's see how you handle human stubbornness." He launched both AMRAAMs. Twin contrails streaked toward the alien hull. For a moment, nothing. Then both missiles struck the cruiser's shimmering barrier. The sky went white. When the light faded, the barrier was cracked, not destroyed, but wounded. And for the first time since they arrived, the alien ship moved, not forward, not down, but backward. Retreating. Hawk exhaled slowly. "Guess they understand our language now." The world didn't just wake up to a story, it exploded into disbelief. In Tokyo, the sky had gone violet. In Los Angeles, radar operators scrambled to confirm what their instruments refused to register. In the corridors of the United Nations, diplomats fumbled for words that no one in history had needed before. Humanity had responded, not with speeches, treaties, or empty promises, but with fire, speed, and steel. On board the alien flagship hovering above the Pacific, the silver-skinned envoy's face contorted into an expression no human had ever seen. It was not fear, not anger, but bewilderment. Their centuries of diplomacy, the meticulous study of civilizations, they had not anticipated this. They attacked? One of the alien aides whispered, its voice a chime of disbelief. "They fought back?" "Yes," the envoy replied, calm but shaken. And they hit us. Back on Earth, the F-22s screamed overhead, returning to their bases. Hawk's squadron landed silently, engines cooling, faces tense with adrenaline. There was no celebration, not yet. They had fired the first shot, but the war, or the conversation, was only beginning. In the Pentagon, President Keller stared at the live feeds. Across the world, similar scenes unfolded. Pilots debriefing, technicians analyzing alien tech interference, military chiefs updating strike readiness. Yet beneath the operational chaos was a single unspoken truth. Humanity had just sent the galaxy a message. Secretary Lang leaned in. "Sir, they expected diplomacy. We just obliterated their expectations." Keller nodded. "And they'll remember it." Meanwhile, news outlets struggled to frame it. Headlines flashed across screens. Earth fights back, alien fleet stunned, humans fire first and survive. Diplomacy declined, Earth sends F-22s. Across social media, disbelief turned to awe. Memes blended with videos of contrails, breaking the internet in real time. Humanity, for the first time, didn't feel small. They had stared up at the impossible, and spoken in a language the galaxy could not ignore. Back above, the alien envoy convened the Galactic Concord via holographic council. Voices from distant stars buzzed in panic and disbelief. The humans, they are dangerous. They fight when we expected submission. Their technology and their will, unmatched. The envoy's hand trembled slightly as he gestured toward the holographic display. The cracks in the ship's barrier, though minor, were enough. Enough to spark doubt, enough to seed fear. And on Earth, in a quiet hangar far from the chaos, Hawk and his squadron stripped off helmets, wiping sweat and grime from their faces. One pilot laughed, a short, incredulous bark of disbelief. "Did we just—" Hawk shook his head slowly. "No, we didn't just—" "We told them." Outside, the sky glowed faintly violet as the alien fleet regrouped. Humanity had not won, they knew that. But they had spoken first, and in the galaxy's silent ledger, that counted for something. For the first time, humans understood a universal truth. In a universe that assumed weakness, audacity itself could be a weapon, and that weapon was just getting started. While the world collectively reeled from the alien encounter, Lieutenant Kara Shadow Nguyen wasn't thinking about headlines or councils. She was thinking about her brother. The youngest pilot in Hawk's squadron, Kara had earned her call sign for the way she moved through skies. Silent, precise, and unpredictable. But her heart still belonged to home, a small apartment in Seattle, a brother too young to fully grasp the scale of what was happening, and a promise she had made years ago. "I'll keep you safe." Her F-22 sat gleaming in the hangar, freshly refueled and rearmed after the Pacific sortie. Kara ran her hands along the sleek fuselage, feeling the hum of potential energy beneath her fingertips. She wasn't supposed to think in terms of heroics. She was a pilot, part of a team, but the reality of war made every mission personal. "Shadow," Hawk's voice came over comms, crisp as ever. "Sit rep." "I'm ready," she replied, masking the jitter of adrenaline she couldn't quite shake. The alien fleet had shifted again, moving toward the Atlantic. Intelligence suggested they were testing human defenses, probing weaknesses. But Kara suspected it wasn't just strategy. These creatures didn't understand Earth, didn't understand its people, and certainly didn't understand the stubborn streak that ran through its youngest defenders. Her comm buzzed again, this time from Vasquez. Satellite feed shows civilian vessels near the fleet's projected path. Potential for non-combatant casualties if they maneuver aggressively. Kara's stomach twisted. The thought of innocent lives in the crossfire had always driven her. Her hand tightened around the throttle. "Copy," she said. "I'll keep them safe." Hours later over the Atlantic, she became the embodiment of that promise. Dodging alien energy pulses and weaving through cloud banks, she guided fishing vessels out of harm's way, her HUD mapping every potential threat, every trajectory that could spell disaster. Above her, the alien ships moved like predatory hunters, but Kara realized something the Council and Generals had overlooked. Humans didn't just fight to win. Humans fought to protect. Every maneuver she made, every evasive twist wasn't just survival, it was defiance with a purpose. And in that moment, she felt the truth of the galaxy's miscalculation. They expected fear. They expected compliance. They didn't expect humans to risk everything for each other, even against an enemy whose power dwarfed them. By the time she returned to base, the sun had dipped below the horizon. The Pacific stretched behind her like a dark mirror, reflecting streaks of violet from the alien fleet far above. Her squadron landed one by one, faces weary but unbroken. Hawk waited at the end of the runway, helmet under his arm, expression unreadable. "Good work out there," he said. But Kara saw the respect behind the words, the acknowledgement of more than skill, the acknowledgement of courage. She climbed out of the cockpit, her flight suit streaked with sweat and grime. In that quiet hangar, surrounded by the hum of cooling engines and distant chatter, Kara realized that the fight wasn't just against alien ships, it was against assumptions. The galaxy assumed humans were weak, but humanity had shown them otherwise, and Kara was living proof that even the smallest spark could ignite change. Later, in a debrief, Kara scribbled notes in her logbook, trying to capture what had happened. But she knew no report could convey the weight of defiance, the thrill of survival, or the silent roar of pride that resonated through every pilot in the sky. And somewhere, far above, the aliens were recalculating, because for every Raptor in the sky, there was a human willing to risk everything. The alien fleet didn't retreat. It repositioned. Over the next 24 hours, massive warships shifted in orbital patterns that defied human comprehension. They weren't just probing. They were studying, analyzing, learning the limits of Earth's defenses. At Nellis Air Force Base, the command center hummed like a hive under pressure. Multiple screens displayed the alien formations, their shimmering hulls reflecting sunlight like liquid metal. Every analyst, every radar operator, every officer was acutely aware. The next encounter could be humanity's last if they weren't ready. Hawk paced the control room, eyes flicking between satellite feeds. "They're learning fast," he muttered. "We hit them once. They adapted, and now they're pushing, harder." Vasquez leaned over her console, pointing at a cluster of readings. "Sir, they're deploying smaller craft, fighters?" "Probes around the primary fleet. Could be testing our intercept protocols." "Testing or bait," Hawk said. "Either way, we respond the same. Full formation, defensive first. Aggressive if needed." Above the Atlantic, Kara Shadow Nguyen flew alongside her squadron. The clouds were thick, low, and stormy, with sunlight slicing through in narrow beams. The alien fighters, sleek, black, and impossibly fast, darted from the motherships, probing the Raptors with pulses of violet energy. Kara's fingers danced over controls, missiles armed but not yet launched. "Hawk," she said over comms. "They're fast but not coordinated. There's a pattern. If we bait them, do it," Hawk replied. "Precision and timing. Stick to the formation. Don't get greedy." The sky erupted in kinetic energy. Raptor squadron spiraled, dodging alien pulses, flipping through cloud banks. One pilot, Viper 6, narrowly avoided being struck. The alien fighter twisted midair, banking for a second attack only for Kara to intercept. Her AMRAAM streaking like a silver comet. The missile struck, and the alien craft dissolved in a flash of violet sparks. "Confirmed," shouted Hawk. "2 down, 3 more engaging." But victory was fleeting. The alien motherships began emitting waves of energy, distortions that warped radar signals and made missile targeting unreliable. Hawk's HUD flickered, weapons temporarily offline. "Systems glitching," Viper 2 called out. "They're doing something to the jets." "Manual override," Hawk barked. "We fight with what we have. Don't let them dictate the rules." Amid the chaos, Kara's mind shifted from tactics to instinct. She realized that this wasn't just a battle, it was a lesson in human adaptability. For every maneuver the aliens countered, humans improvised 2 more. Hours passed in an endless loop of pulse and counterpulse, dive and climb, missile and dodge. By sunset, the Atlantic sky was littered with contrails, smoke trails from neutralized alien fighters, and the faint shimmer of the fleet maintaining position. Back on Earth, the reactions were immediate. Governments issued emergency advisories. Citizens watched the skies anxiously. But unlike fear, there was awe. Humanity had survived, humanity had responded, and humanity had done so with precision, courage, and a tenacity that no intelligence in the galaxy could have anticipated. At Nellis, Hawk and Kara returned from their sorties, engines cooling, euphoria mingling with exhaustion. Kara wiped her visor, breathing heavily. "They're not just testing us," she said. "They're learning how we fight." Hawk nodded. "Exactly. And that's the point, Shadow. We've shown them humans aren't easy prey. Every move they make will counter, and then some. This is just the beginning." Somewhere in orbit, the alien fleet's envoy convened with its council again. Reports came in of human pilots adapting tactics mid-flight, of combat decisions made in seconds with near-perfect coordination. The envoy's face betrayed unease for the first time. These creatures weren't following patterns they recognized. They expected diplomacy. They received defiance. They expected fear. They received cunning. And humanity's war, if it could be called that, was only beginning. While Hawk and Kara danced with death in the skies above the Atlantic, far away in Geneva, Dr. Ilara Voss stared at the alien energy readings streaming across her monitors. She wasn't a soldier. She wasn't even a pilot. She was a physicist, the best in her field when it came to exotic energy systems. But nothing in her career had prepared her for this. "Are you seeing this?" her assistant asked, eyes wide, voice trembling. Ilara didn't respond immediately. Her hands hovered over the controls, tracing the undulating pulses that spilled across the screens. The energy signatures weren't just unknown, they defied human physics. Violet arcs that seemed to exist and not exist simultaneously, waves that bent reality like water rippling over light. "They're experimenting," she finally said, voice low. "They're not just here to negotiate. They're mapping our defenses, probing our limits, and somehow, they're learning from our responses." The room was silent. Outside, diplomats shuffled papers, exchanged whispers, and wrung their hands in the kind of panic that only comes when civilization itself is on the line. Ilara knew there was more than panic here. There was fear, rational, deeply rooted, fear of a species that had survived nuclear war, asteroid impacts, and every imaginable catastrophe. Humans had fought before and adapted, and now the galaxy had taken note. Dr. Voss, the Secretary General, said, appearing in the doorway, his tone unusually grave. "We need solutions. We can't let them just probe us indefinitely." Ilara looked up, her face pale but determined. "I might have one, but it's dangerous. We'd be weaponizing our understanding of their energy, using their own systems against them. One miscalculation and we lose everything," he finished. "Yes, I know. But do you have a choice?" Her fingers moved rapidly over the keyboard, running simulations, overlaying human physics on alien tech models, predicting outcomes in microseconds. For every pilot in the sky, there was someone like her in a lab, plotting the invisible battles, shaping the war before a single shot was fired. Minutes later, an alert pinged. The alien fleet had shifted again, moving closer to the Mediterranean. Smaller crafts darted outward like scouts. Every nation's satellites were feeding data. But it was Ilara's calculations that determined how far humanity could push back without triggering catastrophe. Her assistant looked at her nervously. "Do you really think this can work?" Ilara exhaled sharply. "I don't know if it will work. But it has to. If we fail, the pilots we sent today, the people they're protecting, the world itself, it's all over. But if we succeed, we give humanity a fighting chance." Back above, Hawk and Kara executed evasive maneuvers, oblivious to the calculations running across Ilara's screen. But her work was intertwined with theirs, unseen yet vital. Every energy pulse they dodged, every alien attack they countered, was partially informed by the predictions of a scientist far from the battlefield. The alien envoy, monitoring the humans' movements, frowned at the anomalies. Every flight path, every adaptive maneuver, every unexpected interception, these humans were learning faster than anticipated. And somewhere, in the shadows of Geneva, human ingenuity was quietly amplifying that learning, creating an unseen edge that the aliens couldn't predict. For the first time, the envoy hesitated. Humanity wasn't just responding, they were evolving. And in the quiet hum of the lab, Ilara whispered to herself, "If they survive today, tomorrow, we might just be the ones teaching the galaxy how to fight us." It started as a routine sortie over the North Atlantic. Hawk's squadron flew in formation, scanning the clouded horizon for alien scouts. Kara Shadow Nguyen led a tighter wing, eyes flicking across her HUD. Everything seemed normal. Too normal. Then the sky fractured. A pulse, far larger than anything they had encountered, rippled outward from the alien fleet. It wasn't just energy, it was control. Systems glitched simultaneously. HUDs scrambled, targeting sensors died, and the jets shuddered violently as if gripped by an invisible hand. Hawk, I'm losing my instruments. Kara's voice crackled over comms. Everyone hold formation. Manual controls only, Hawk barked, twisting his jet midair to compensate for the invisible force. Above the clouds, the alien motherships shimmered, folding space around them in impossible geometry. The squadron realized almost simultaneously that this wasn't just an attack, it was a demonstration of power. The aliens weren't testing weapons. They were testing limits. Human limits. Back on Earth, alarms blared in command centers worldwide. Screens showed the sudden disruption. Pilots everywhere struggling with failures in instruments and communications. Dr. Ilara Voss froze at her console, analyzing the data in real time. This isn't just an EMP, she muttered. It's a cognitive resonance field. They're reading our neural patterns, anticipating reactions before we even make them. Hawk's comm buzzed again. Ilara, what the hell does that mean? They can predict your moves, she replied, urgency in every word. They're learning faster than we can adapt. You're in their experiment and they're the ones in control. Kara's voice went taut. So, we're sitting ducks? Hawk shook his head, muscles tense on the stick. No, we're just human. It was then the fleet revealed the twist. From the shadows of the largest mothership, hundreds of alien fighters dropped in formation, invisible until the last second, then accelerating toward the Raptors. The squadron was surrounded. Every escape route blocked, but humans, by instinct and stubbornness, didn't panic. Viper 2, loop left, Hawk commanded, executing a maneuver that should have been predictable. Yet the aliens faltered. In that microsecond of hesitation, Kara spotted an opening. One of the alien mothership's energy panels glitched, likely from the Raptor strike weeks prior. Target that weak point, she yelled. If we take it down, the rest lose coordination. Hawk nodded. Everyone split fire, concentrate on the core. Missiles screamed toward the alien hull, weaving between waves of defensive pulses. Explosions rocked the sky as energy arcs danced and fizzled, sending shockwaves that tossed human jets violently. And then, the impossible happened. The alien core flared, then cracked in a jagged burst of violet light. Smaller fighters faltered, losing formation. The cognitive resonance field collapsed, instruments flickering back online. For the first time, humanity had gained control of the encounter. From Geneva, Dr. Ilara Voss smiled grimly. Her calculations had predicted the possibility, but seeing it happen in real time was surreal. Humanity had survived the test, and in doing so had learned faster than the aliens expected. Hawk's voice came calm but intense over comms. They thought they could predict humans. They were wrong. They've underestimated what we do under pressure. We don't just react, we adapt, Kara laughed, breathless, adrenaline still pumping. So we just proved the galaxy wrong again? Hawk's eyes narrowed, scanning the horizon. Not again. For the first time, the alien fleet withdrew, reforming at a safer distance. They had lost the element of psychological dominance. They had learned, perhaps too late, that humans weren't merely reactive. They were unpredictable, ingenious, and relentless. In that moment, the battlefield shifted. Humanity had survived the test, yes, but more importantly, they had rewritten the rules. And the galaxy, for the first time, understood that humans did not negotiate. Humans did not fear. Humans adapted, and that adaptation was a weapon. The sky was no longer merely a theater of defense. It had become a battlefield of initiative. Following the midpoint twist, humanity had realized something the alien fleet could not anticipate. Adaptability was a weapon, and Hawk's squadron, emboldened and relentless, began to push that weapon to its limits. Over the Mediterranean, Raptor squadrons executed coordinated maneuvers with a precision that blurred the line between instinct and machine. Kara, Shadow, Nguyen led a small wing through fractured clouds, their contrails slicing the sky like silver knives. Each pilot moved with an almost preternatural synchronicity, exploiting every flaw in the alien formations. "Command, Viper Squadron reporting," Hawk said, voice calm yet electric with tension. "We've identified weak points in the cruiser's energy arrays, coordinates relayed to all intercept teams." On the ground, Dr. Ilara Voss monitored every signal, her fingers flying over the consoles. "Hawk, the resonance feedback is holding," she warned. They're adapting. But we're still faster. Push it. Don't give them a moment to recalibrate. Kara banked sharply, dodging an alien pulse that twisted the air around her. This is insane, she muttered to herself, eyes locked on a cruiser with visible fissures along its energy panel. But it's working. Below the cloud layer, humans on ships and in coastal defense installations coordinated strikes with uncanny efficiency. Missile salvos, electronic countermeasures, and drones worked in tandem with the F-22s, creating a multi-layered defense that no alien had anticipated. Humanity's improvisation was becoming an offensive, a pattern the enemy could not predict. Hawk's comm crackled again. Squadron, concentrate fire on the southern cruiser. Its flank is unstable. Full salvo on my mark. The pilots executed flawlessly. Missiles tore through alien shields in a synchronized eruption of fire and light. The cruiser shuddered, smoke and plasma flaring from ruptured panels. Smaller fighters faltered, hesitating as their parent vessel lost cohesion. Even the alien envoy observing from orbit could not mask his astonishment. They are evolving. Faster than predicted, their coordination, unprecedented. On Earth, President Keller watched the feeds with a mixture of awe and calculated resolve. Military leaders and scientists exchanged tense nods. Humanity had crossed a line. They weren't just defending, they were asserting dominance. Yet the alien fleet was not defeated. It responded with ruthless precision, deploying a wave of energy pulses across multiple vectors. Radar systems failed, communications were jammed, and some squadrons were forced into evasive maneuvers. A Viper jet narrowly avoided a pulse that tore a trench through the clouds. "Viper 6, status!" Hawk barked over comms. "Alive. Barely," the pilot replied, voice tight with adrenaline. "But they're regrouping." Hawk gritted his teeth. "Then we do the same. Push forward. Force them to react. Don't let them dictate the engagement." In the sky, chaos unfolded as humans and aliens danced a deadly ballet. Missiles collided with energy pulses in blinding flashes. Jets twisted and flipped, dodging, countering, and striking in turns that felt choreographed by instinct itself. Kara maneuvered between two alien fighters, her HUD flickering as she manually compensated for intermittent disruptions. Somewhere in Geneva, Ilara Voss noted a pattern forming in the aliens' adaptive responses. They're learning, but it's too late. We're already 2 steps ahead in improvisation. Hawk doesn't just react, he predicts their predictions. Hawk's voice cut over comms, calm and resolute. All wings, target the exposed cores. Precision strikes. Take them down before they reorganize. Humanity does not wait for permission. Humanity acts. Missiles screamed, energy shields shattered, and alien fighters faltered in the wake of relentless human determination. For the first time, a significant portion of the fleet began a tactical retreat, not defeat, but recognition. Humanity was a force beyond prediction, beyond the protocols the aliens had relied upon. Kara's heart pounded as she banked, eyes scanning the horizon. The sun set behind them, painting the clouds with fire and violet light from the damaged alien cruisers. For a fleeting moment, the world seemed to pause, caught between chaos and triumph. Hawk's voice cut softly over the comm. "Remember this day, squadron. They expected diplomats. They got pilots. They expected fear. They got defiance. And they underestimated humanity." Above the sea, the alien fleet regrouped, battered but calculating. The war was far from over, but one truth had become painfully clear. Humans weren't just surviving. They were teaching the galaxy a lesson it would not soon forget, and every pilot in the sky, every scientist in a lab, every leader on Earth knew that the climax of this encounter was drawing near. The alien fleet had regrouped, but this time there was no subtlety. Every mothership pulsed with energy. Every scout darted like a predator on instinct, and the sky above the North Atlantic shimmered with violet menace. Hawk's squadron, alongside, dozens of Allied jets now mobilized worldwide, braced for the most brutal engagement humanity had ever faced. "Formation Delta," Hawk ordered, voice steady over comms. "We're not holding back, full offensive protocol. Target every energy core you see. Confirm kills, do not let them recover." Kara, Shadow Nguyen, tightened her grip on the throttle. Her F-22 hummed with potential, engines screaming as if understanding the weight of the moment. She banked hard, weaving through cloud banks to engage a swarm of alien fighters. Each maneuver tested human limits, and human instincts rose to meet them. The first wave of alien scouts struck, energy pulses arcing toward the Raptors like deadly serpents. Hawk's HUD flickered under the assault, missiles streaked, and lasers from human destroyers lanced through the violet haze. Chaos enveloped the sky, yet every pilot moved as one, instinctively coordinated in a dance of survival and aggression. "Viper 4 down!" a voice shouted, static slicing through comms. "Keep moving," Hawk barked. "Their numbers mean nothing if we strike smart. Target cores first. Neutralize command nodes. Humanity does not falter." Above the largest mothership, the alien envoy's calm veneer cracked. The energy shields pulsed violently as missiles impacted, rippling through the hull in cascades of violet sparks. This was no longer a probe. It was a battle for dominance. Kara took a sharp dive, dodging a pulse that could have shredded her jet. Her HUD flickered as she manually guided her missile toward a visible fissure on the alien cruiser. It struck perfectly, erupting in a massive shockwave that disoriented the surrounding fleet. "Confirmed hit," she shouted. "Core compromised." Hawk seized the opportunity. "All wings, converge. Hit the southern cruiser now." Missiles launched in synchronized fury, tearing into the alien vessel with unrelenting precision. Explosions flared, lighting up the sky, smoke and plasma mixing with clouds. Human pilots twisted and flipped through the haze, dodging retaliatory energy arcs, while below, naval vessels and ground-based defenses fired in coordination, creating a storm of human ingenuity and aggression. The alien fleet retaliated with their full arsenal, unleashing cascading energy waves that warped the atmosphere itself. Hawk's F-22 shuddered violently as systems momentarily glitched, but he held the stick steady, eyes locked on the largest target. "Viper 2, flank left. Shadow, intercept their reinforcements," Hawk commanded. Kara banked sharply, weaving through pulses, firing missiles that dissolved the approaching fighters mid-air. Every strike, every maneuver, every calculated risk pushed humanity closer to the impossible. The alien envoy projected a massive energy wave from the central mothership, an attempt to overwhelm human formations in one decisive blow. Entire squadrons faltered, turbulence throwing jets violently. But Alara Voss, monitoring from Geneva, had predicted the wave's frequency. Her quick calculations fed data to satellite-linked command systems, allowing human forces to execute precise evasive maneuvers. "Vector corrections ready," Hawk's comm relayed. "All wings, execute." Jets darted, missiles launched, shields rippled, and in a single coordinated strike, humanity pierced the alien mothership's central core. The explosion radiated outward, shaking the fleet and sending smaller fighters scattering. For the first time, the alien forces hesitated. Their formations faltered, and the envoy's composure shattered completely. He realized that humanity wasn't just unpredictable. They were unstoppable when coordinated, daring, and determined. Hawk's voice rang through comms, calm yet electrifying. "They expected diplomats, they got pilots. They expected fear, they got humans. We do not negotiate. We do not submit. We survive. We adapt. We strike back." Kara laughed, adrenaline surging. "We're not just fighting for Earth. We're fighting for every being that thought humans were weak." The fleet withdrew, battered and broken but alive. Humanity had not annihilated them, yet, but they had sent an unmistakable message: underestimate humans at your peril. Below, naval vessels and air bases cheered, alarms and sirens mixing with the echoes of victorious jets returning home. Pilots were battered, but their faces glowed with the pride of having fought the impossible and survived. President Keller addressed the world via broadcast, voice steady and calm. "Today, humanity spoke with its strength. Today we showed the galaxy what it means to face us. We did not bow. We did not beg. We stood, and we acted." Hawk landed his jet on the Nevada tarmac, stepping out as the sun rose over a battered but resilient world. Kara followed, exhilarated yet exhausted. For the first time in human history, the galaxy had learned an undeniable truth. Humans were a force that could not be predicted, controlled, or intimidated. And this was only the beginning. The alien fleet receded beyond Earth's orbit, leaving behind trails of violet shimmer and shattered assumptions. Across the globe, humanity exhaled collectively, though few fully grasped the magnitude of what had occurred. Cities lit up in celebration, news anchors struggled to convey the enormity of victory, and soldiers and pilots alike returned to their bases, faces streaked with sweat, grime, and exhilaration. At Nellis Air Force Base, Hawk and Kara stepped out of their F-22s, still buzzing with adrenaline. Around them, mechanics and support crews clapped, cheered, and embraced, the relief tangible after hours of near-impossible maneuvers. "They won't underestimate us again," Kara said, voice steady but tinged with awe. Hawk nodded, scanning the horizon where distant clouds shimmered violet from residual energy. "No, and if they do, they'll pay for it." In Geneva, Dr. Alara Voss closed her console, exhausted but triumphant. She had played a quiet, unseen role in the victory. Humanity's ability to adapt, innovate, and coordinate had not just neutralized the immediate threat, it had established a precedent. The galaxy now knew humans were unpredictable, resilient, and brilliant in the face of danger. President Keller addressed the world from the White House balcony, flanked by military leaders and scientists. His words were measured but firm. Today, Earth did what every generation of humans before us could only hope to do. We defended ourselves with ingenuity, courage, and resolve. We sent no diplomats. We sent no empty words. We sent our best, and the galaxy has learned what humanity truly is. Across the globe, humans reflected on the encounter. Families hugged tighter, citizens looked at the stars with new awe, and even nations that had been at odds found a fleeting unity in their cognition of what their species had achieved. The alien envoy returning to the Galactic Concord reported cautiously. The humans were dangerous, yes, but more than that, they were evolving. Their improvisation, their courage, their coordination under pressure, all had surpassed the predictions of even the most advanced intelligence. The consensus was clear. Any future interactions with humanity would be approached with extreme caution. Back at Nellis, Hawk and Kara watched the sunset in silence. The air smelled of scorched fuel and ozone, reminders of the conflict that had reshaped their world. Kara broke the quiet. "We survived, and we taught them a lesson they'll never forget." Hawk smiled faintly. "They expected diplomats. They got pilots, and they'll remember that humanity doesn't negotiate. We act, we endure. We adapt, and sometimes, we strike first." For a moment, the world seemed smaller, the skies emptier and yet infinite with possibility. Humanity had stared at an impossible opponent and proven that fear, caution, and assumptions were useless against grit, intellect, and courage. And though the aliens had not been annihilated, the first chapter of interstellar diplomacy had been written with fire, steel, and unflinching defiance. Above all, one truth echoed across continents and oceans. The galaxy had underestimated humanity. Once, never again. Weeks after the battle, Earth settled into an uneasy calm. The alien fleet lingered at the edge of the solar system, observing, recalculating, and reconsidering. Humans went back to their lives, cities rebuilding, governments stabilizing, and pilots like Hawk and Kara quietly preparing for whatever came next. Yet the galaxy had changed. Every intelligence, every council, every species that had doubted humanity now knew one immutable truth. Humans were not to be underestimated. Not for our size, our technology, or our numbers, but for our ingenuity, our adaptability, and our unyielding spirit. In Nevada, Hawk stood on a sunlit runway, gazing at the skies that had tested him. Kara joined him, eyes reflecting the dawn. "They expected words," she said quietly. "We gave them action, and they remembered it," Hawk replied. "Forever." Dr. Alara Voss, back in Geneva, reflected on her calculations, her simulations, and her quiet role in the defense. Humanity's victory wasn't just in missiles or maneuvers. It was in proving that intellect, courage, and unity were weapons just as powerful as firepower. The moral was clear. In a universe that assumes weakness, boldness becomes strength. In a galaxy that predicts submission, defiance becomes legend. Humanity doesn't just survive, we adapt, we endure, and when necessary, we strike back with precision and pride. And somewhere, far beyond Earth, the alien envoy would relay the lesson to the stars. Never mistake humans for diplomats when pilots can speak for us. The sky remained vast, uncertain, and full of challenges. But humanity had learned something essential. When the galaxy expects diplomacy, sometimes the answer is something stronger. Sometimes, it's the roar of F-22s in the dawn sky.